Welcome back to Lawyers and Libations with Sarah and Rebecca, episode 24.
Hello. Good to see you again.
We're almost making it to a quarter of 100. I'm very proud of us.
I mean, I'm shocked. We haven't been taken off the air officially yet.
I know.
For that Galentine's episode.
I actually ran into somebody yesterday at the golf. Our friend Brittany said that was her most favorite episode, that and the Frank Burns one, which was really funny.
I mean, it was very fun.
But I was like, I love you for that. That makes me feel better. So it's not just like, I don't know, stodgy lawyer types outraged at some of the things that we said. She thought it was fucking hysterical.
Oh, good. I love that.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, you can't really not think it's that funny when we're just like, let's just tell you all of our most embarrassing things. Ta-da!
I mean, they're entertaining. And most people are just scared to talk about them. So
I am not.
No, you are not at all.
I am not. Speaking of things that make you want to kill people, which is, I'm just going to lead right into that.
It's been a rough day, listeners.
Today has been a rough day. Rebecca and I were talking about this on the way here when we realized it was a game day for the Braves. Go Bravos. But the parking scenario then sucks when it comes to parking here at 680 The Fan. And so we were on the phone and I was explaining to her how my day has been full of ass suckery starting first thing this morning when I had a client waiting at our office and I could not find my laptop anywhere for 45 minutes and I literally tore the whole house apart. Now there's only a couple of places my laptop is going to be if I have actual possession and custody and control of it, and that would be either my living room table, my kitchen counter, or it would be like next to my bed, right? So I went through everything, went through all of Adeline's room and everything because she can't get social media and stuff on her phone, so she'll sometimes steal my laptop to watch TikTok videos or YouTube shorts. So after 45 minutes with the client, waiting at my fucking office and me being stuck at my house, I mean, stroke level blood pressure, I was like, I'm going to the school. So I show up at Adeline's school. I like knock on the door. I'm like, hi, I'm going to need Adeline Vians to come out of school right now. And they go, okay, why? And I was like, because I'm looking for my laptop and I'm in desperate need. And they go, so we're going to have her report to the middle school office, and then she's going to talk to the vice principal there and see if she can help you. I'm like, or maybe you could just send my fucking daughter up the stairs to me.
I mean, you're paying, so I feel like you have a certain amount of control as to where she can and can't go. So
if you can imagine, I'm now red-faced as she told me to sit tight. So I sit tight and I sit down, and then she gets a call like 3 or 4 minutes later, and she goes, Adeline's on her way here because she seems to know where your laptop is. I go, does she? I bet she does. So Adeline comes up the stairs and she sees my face and she goes, hi, Mom. And I go, hi, honey. Do you know where the fuck my laptop is? She goes, yeah. You look really angry. It's like, I'm borderline homicidal at this point. So yeah. And she goes, well, I was in the bathroom and I was watching TikTok, and the dog came in, and it got knocked off of the towel warmer thing, and so it wouldn't get messed up. I scooted it under the vanity, and I was like, my laptop is on my bathroom floor under my fucking vanity. She goes, yeah, She goes, I'm in trouble, huh? And I go, I love you so much. So then I went home and found the laptop, but it was an hour and probably 25-minute ordeal this morning with lots of threats to her life. She's aware. She was like, am I grounded? I was like, listen, I love you. I know it's not intentional. I was like, but I don't have time for this fuckery on a Tuesday morning. I'll kill everyone.
Well, and you know what it is? It's the darn TikTok. So George steals my, like if I can't find my phone, that happens at least twice a day. I'm like, where's my phone? I can't find it. And I'll inevitably find George under a blanket, like with TikTok this close to his face. And I have to physically assault him to get the phone away from him because they don't have TikTok on any of their stuff.
Right.
But I think it's the 10-second reels. It totally sucks their brains in. They can't get unhinged from it. I mean, maybe we should talk to our friend Rob about doing a class action against TikTok.
Well, hopefully, I don't know.
There's damages involved today.
I mean, there are damages.
You missed an hour and a half of work.
I missed an hour and a half of work, God damn it. I don't know how much money I could have been making, but I'm sure there was some sort of dollar figure that I could claim.
Millions, obviously.
Obviously, millions, yes. The wonderful world of workers' comp loaded. But yeah, so that started my morning, and So when I got there, one of my favorite clients who came by to see me had not only, she didn't just come alone, she came with her daughter's 2 kids, which included a 9-month-old baby and a 4-year-old, and then her daughter's best friend. So I had like multiple people waiting because I couldn't find my fucking laptop because of the TikTok.
When I was down the hall and I could hear the cute little 4-year-old, it sounded like a Katie Couric interview. He may have asked you 200 questions in the span of 30 minutes.
I mean, I did get like
he was so cute.
The serotonin levels up, and I was holding the baby, and so that made things, a little bit better. But it was a lot. I was rage filled. I was like, here, you can hit. I've got a little putter, in my office that I just got a little putting green thing to practice putting with. So he got to play with that. And I gave him a rock from my water feature. He was thrilled with all of the things. He went into my candy bag. Little bastard.
George saw that putting green when he was with me last week, and he was like, did you know that there is golf at your office?
Sarah's office.
I go,
yeah, I did. When you were wearing your master's hat today, because it's Master's Week. Dun,
Hallelujah.
dun, dun, dun.
So I go in 2 days.
I'm very jealous.
And so I thought, I don't know if you'll remember from our fun golf tournament yesterday, but we had a bet if you would actually hit one of the golfers in front of us with a ball when you teed off, I would get you a Berkeley's pullover. I'm going to get you anyone because I love you, because you, in fact, did not hit another golfer.
I thought about it. I tried. I just can't drive it that fucking far. But I definitely tried to hit the other golfers in front of us. I mean, they are our friends, and we couldn't love them more. But by that point in time in the day, we had... Well, you had to go to a game. I was trying to make it back, but I didn't drive. So
it was good behavior.
Yeah, I rode with some of our friends. So at that point in time, I wasn't really concerned. I was trying to make it back for a soccer game for Adelines, but it ended up going too long. I mean, it took forever. But I had multiple shots, a few Jell-O shots, some sort of like peach...
it was Peach Crown Royal. It was shockingly
which actually wasn't
delicious.
that bad. I think I split that one with you. But I was a little bit housed towards the end of the day. So I have no doubt that I was making threats of trying to whack the shit out of somebody with a golf ball at some point in time.
It was very entertaining. So, and in fact, I may have upgraded it in that if you actually hit somebody, I would get you like a full Berkeley's
Berkman's like
outfit.
Dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I am actually recalling some of this conversation because when you first mentioned it, I was like, did she? And then I'm like, yes, yep. And then I was like, do they have full length dresses? I didn't actually fucking hit anybody, so I guess I don't.
We'll
I get no treats. No treats. But yeah.
I'll also get you treats. I love a good bet.
I love you for that. I did come home yesterday, though, and got right in bed and took an 1.5-hour nap because I was shammered.
I got to run the scoreboard at a Little League baseball game, which is why I couldn't partake in all of the Jell-O shots.
Yeah,
yesterday.
there were like actual shots. We had friends that were dressed up in nurses' uniforms with Jell-O shots in them. I don't really know what went on, but we had a lovely time playing golf. It was so much fun.
Well, and there was an eclipse, which was super cool.
There was also an eclipse. None of us had glasses, though, so we weren't really prepared for that.
Weird.
I mean, I glanced up a little bit. I mean, briefly. I don't want to get blind or anything, allegedly. But, it made for some weird, like, sepia-toned kind of lighting outside.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of kind of school stuff from earlier.
My almost murder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In the headlines today, some of the parents of a school shooter were found...
In Michigan.
Yep. Guilty.
Involuntary manslaughter. 2 of them, mom and dad, 10 to 15 years each. Fucking good.
It is good. And it kind of just begs the question, who is responsible when there is a school shooting?
Right. So I think the facts of this case were especially egregious because you had the dad went out there and bought a fucking gun for his son, who's in high school on Black Friday. His mom took him the next day to a fucking shooting range. They didn't lock up the gun. They did absolutely nothing. They knew he had some mental health issues. School actually called the parents in for a meeting with the fucking parents and the son that day in the morning and said, hey, we've seen some like pretty shitty writings that your son's been doing, talking about blood everywhere and bullets and guns and stuff. We think you should take him out of school and go get him some mental health treatment. And the parents said, sorry, we have to work. Didn't mention one fucking thing about we just bought him a goddamn gun. and he killed 4 other students and injured 6. And I'm sorry. I hope you fucking rot in prison.
No, it's awful. And and we both have kids school age.
Yeah.
I think that's the scariest thing as I tell my kids goodbye every day because they go to 3 different schools. So I get 3 different places where people could make bad decisions. It's terrifying because you can't control what other people are doing out there. And for so long, we have gun lobbyists that are just able to like keep these laws like so loosey-goosey for gun owners, and you can take guns anywhere in all the southern states now. No more permits are required. It's completely insane.
It's like the Wild West.
It is. And so
fine.
It's not refreshing isn't the right word, but
about fucking time.
It's about time that somebody is being held accountable for these. And it's not. And there were some other parents, I think just a month or two ago, were held accountable.
As they should be. So I'm from the mountains of North Carolina. You're from Hickory, North Carolina. Like, we're borderline redneckish. I mean, like, if you go back
Definitely
to our history,
redneck,
100% redneckish. Grew up shooting guns. Own, again, multiple guns. I have 2 gun safes in my house and a gun, like, holster safe biometric thing that comes out, like, on my nightstand. Like, it's just, it's common sense. So we've done the marches for Moms Demand Action, and it's, which is a phenomenal gun group that just really lobbies for common sense gun control and gun measures. But it's like, I'm a gun owner. Like, I don't give a fuck if you make me wait 6 months for a background check. I could give a shit less. I don't need a gun that quickly. Like, I don't care if you actually ask me to register all my guns. Sounds awesome. Like, it's just, or have mandatory safekeeping of guns where they've got to go up in safes.
Well, and that alone, I think, all the studies show that just mandatory safekeeping and having gun safes and having guns locked up cuts down on gun shootings and like child-related situations by like 80 or 90%.
Right. Well, because it's all children now who are doing it, and their brains aren't fully formed yet.
No.
So if they can get access and they have impulse control, that was the main reason why we selected our school over some of the other schools in the area, is because when I did an initial tour of the school that Adeline's like slated to go to, the back door was open. And I was like, okay, so what do you do if somebody gets in here? Like, do you lock down everything? And they were like, what? And I go, what? Like, after Sandy Hook, are you fucking kidding me right now?
It should all be locked down.
I'm like, I will be thrilled if they put up a damn perimeter around Adeline School with like guard towers. Like, it's absurd. And something has to give on it. And so I think this is a fantastic first step of holding the parents accountable. If you're not going to take the appropriate measures, like, we're all kind of a village, so you better do things to safeguard the rest of the kids if you're not going to fucking do it for your own.
Absolutely. And so kind of to our listeners, as you're like, if you're trying to figure out what you can do to kind of help with gun safety, watch both of our Instagram pages. We post a lot, particularly when we're in session, just about what different things happening at the Capitol and like different things, who you need to call to like be pro or con different bills for gun safety. And just get involved. And I think, part of it is just getting out and spreading awareness about how we can help protect our kids. And heck, just don't be an idiot or you'll end up with like these parents.
I really sincerely hope they rot in jail. I have no problems if something terrible happens to them in jail, because those families can't get their kids back. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's the fucking you get for the fucking you got, assholes.
Bad decision making.
And they also got rid of tort immunity as well for some of the gun manufacturers after Sandy Hook, which was phenomenal, which was like one of the first major landmark cases. So hopefully we'll just be a little smarter. Again, I am not anti-gun in any way, shape, or form. If you want them, own them. But you know what? You better be taking the proper precautions if you want that right.
Oh, yeah. Keep them locked up and pay attention to your kids.
100%. I'm there with you.
So, lighter note, but also we're going to talk about some probably sad cases, I would imagine. We have a wonderful guest today, our friend Moses Kim.
Who we love, who is a fellow Tar Heel. Whoop, whoop.
But he's also a medical malpractice attorney in Georgia, and he has done a lot of great work for his clients. So we're excited to have him on in a few minutes.
And based on my rage issues that I've been currently having today, where I've been borderline stroke with blood pressure and stuff, I hope he's bringing a really strong drink, because I would like that very much. So
he likes good cocktails, so I feel like there's a chance.
He is very refined, that Moses.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Anyway, we will be coming back to him in just a moment. Just sit tight. Welcome back. We have Moses Kim with us. We're so happy to have you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Yay. We love a fellow Tar Heel.
We do very much. And he brought us a really fun looking drink. So you've got to tell me all the things that are in it. And what is it exactly?
Yes. So this is an old-fashioned. I wish I had prettier glasses to put it in, but this is all we had to work with.
No, I love this. You got the plastic one.
Yeah.
No, it's lovely.
It's an old-fashioned, and you got to take note of this ice cube that's clear.
Yeah.
Made from my friend Shaggy, David Shaganaw of Custom Cubes.
So what does he do?
So he has a special way of freezing the ice or the water. It turns into clear ice, and you can make them into beautiful pieces like ice balls.
So it just doesn't clear. Yeah, so it doesn't have like any of the cloudiness of a normal ice.
And the air bubbles and all that.
Did he tell us how to do it?
Now
I'm fascinated.
It's a trade secret.
That's
part of the art of the drink, of the cocktail.
Yeah, so what is in it?
So it's, first of all, bourbon.
Besides the pretty ice, obviously.
Bourbon and the pretty ice, some bitters. You got a slice of orange, so a little bit of orange juice in there. And one of the critical things is some Luxardo cherries, not the neon red cherries. If you notice.
Yeah.
These are actually
you mean my daughter's favorite
looking.
thing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're so good. I love the good cherries. We have them all the time.
These are delicious. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
I needed a strong, we got to cheers this. I needed a really strong drink today, so I appreciate it greatly. Rebecca, I love you. Jesus. It was a morning. We'll put it that way.
But I like old fashions. You know why? Because
gives you a chance to drink good bourbon.
No, it's classic. So a lot of people know what it is. There's a lot of things in it, so it's a bit complex. And depending upon who makes it, there's a difference between the quality of a standard old-fashioned that you get from someplace versus someone who knows what they're doing.
Oh, this one's so good. Which bourbon did you use?
I used McKenna.
Okay.
Which is actually a semi-hard bottle to find. You can't find that in
I haven't seen it. I drink a lot of bourbon.
Let's see.
Fork that over.
Actually,
let me see that.
Yeah, Sarah's the bourbon drinker.
I drink all the bourbon.
And I found an Eagle Rare also.
I do love Eagle Rare. It's my faves.
I bought an Eagle Rare off the shelf today, which I haven't seen that in a long time.
You know where they have it? Well, I'm not going to tell our listeners because those fuckers will come and buy it. But at my little package store right over in Brookhaven, one of them. Not going to tell everybody where, but because I can get it there.
I think I know.
It's near the billboard.
Do. It's shut up, Rebecca. That's really funny. Anyway, this is delicious. I couldn't love this more. So at In Town Golf, they make the old fashioned that has the smoke. They like smoke.
You know,
the thing on the top, which is
I can do that. I know how to do that.
No. That's how. Yeah, I mean, we would probably set off the fire alarms and shit would start raining. It would be not good. This is good.
It's very good. Like I don't like bourbon, Sarah knows, but I like an old fashioned.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Done easy. Especially if it's made right.
I'm gonna, whenever we're done here today, I'm going to go home and just pour a straight up bourbon right on the rocks. It might be a triple. I'm not really sure.
I've got to go back to the ball field today.
Ew, gross. No.
I'm not running the scoreboard though.
Speaking of the ball field, we're Bravos. It's time. We're here. Today is a game day. We swept the team this weekend. Was that Arizona? Who did we play?
Yep. Diamondbacks.
See, look at me. We were at opening night. It was so much fun. We had
chilly.
It was
very cold.
Freezing.
Were you at opening night too?
Yes.
It was freezing. We were dying. We were up. We were with Esquire Bank, which was a lovely group of guys and some attorneys, and we were up on the little new Comcast little area outside, the little patios. It's lovely. P.S. Pretty fucking windy when it's chilly outside. So yeah, it was cold.
You know, it'll only be cold though for the next month, and then suddenly we'll feel like we're in the depths of hell for all the summer games.
But it was so chilly, it felt like it was a postseason game, like it was October.
Yeah, I was dying. Who was it? One of our friends went and bought a big Braves blanket while we were there. I was dying laughing. It was one of our guy friends too. I was like, man up, I'm frozen. You can handle it.
It's so cold. Where did y'all sit, Mezes?
We sat on the front row of 200, like on the third base side.
Nice.
It was
It's a very good spot.
Yeah, it's nice. You can see all the action.
Yeah, that's
we had seats over there for Hunter's 10th birthday. We're right that same spot. I thought that was the best place I've sat, particularly with kids because they don't care about, drinks. And all that
they don't care about
they
the
just
club
want to see what's
stuff.
happening.
Yeah, they want to watch the game,
And there's less risk of getting hit in the head with a baseball.
which is always
Thank
helpful. Yeah, we don't need any concussions right now at this age. So tell us a little bit about. Obviously, you're a Tar Heel. So tell us give me like a brief rundown of your resume.
Sure.
All the highlights.
Just point out that I'm like a half brother in the Tar Heel family, but
We welcome all.
Exactly. So I grew up in Alabama in a small town called Enterprise, and then I went to Emory for college.
Lovely.
And then I decided to go to law school, and I went to Chapel Hill.
You know, I couldn't get into Chapel Hill for law school. You're way smarter than I am.
I couldn't get in there either.
Fuck that. Yeah, well done, son. That's out of state.
Out of state. I was grateful to have gotten in, and
this is why you do med mal and we do workers' comp. God damn it, Rebecca.
I don't know about that.
We're not smart enough.
Yeah,
That's
definitely
for sure.
not smart enough.
A lot of personality, not a lot of brain cells.
But true. That's true. But we were very happy to have you come over to the Tar Heel side because you're like a true blue, die-hard Tar Heel now.
I love Carolina. I
know.
I love the Carolina culture and the Carolina family and the Carolina sports and the basketball. With respect to the sports and the basketball, that's all the things that.
And then you had March Sadness.
Did not have. It was March Sadness.
Yeah, Emory does not have a lot of those things.
They have an undefeated football team.
Yeah, they do.
Exactly.
Now, did you stay up and watch that UConn game last night?
Oh, yes. And I was just sad that Carolina could have been there.
So Ryan went to the UConn-UNC game at Madison Square Gardens this year, and when we lost, but just barely. And when he got home, he said that UConn was the best basketball team he'd ever seen in person. Like, he was like, they were sick.
Well,
it's like, I knew they'd win. Yeah, I mean, they're unstoppable.
And they're pretty amazing.
I wish we'd lost to them instead of Bama.
Yeah,
Didn't expect that.
But NC State, we support our Wolfpack brethren. Again, it's anybody but fucking Duke. I could care less. Just if you're Duke, go fuck yourself. But NC State, we were supporting them through. Then we had like a little bit of a dog in the fight for a second, and then they fell too.
Maybe we'll be good again next year. I mean, it looks like we've got some good recruits coming in, and Hubert's done a good job.
They're tapping into the transfer portal, trying to get some big players.
Let's do it.
That's why I didn't think I liked the portal at first, but it does, it's kind of shaken things up so that there's not, Duke being awesome for 4 years or us being awesome for 4 years. People are just switching up.
But you know what I feel bad about? Players like Jalen Washington who've done their time and they're sitting on the bench, and Armando's leaving, and then
I know,
Jalen's
and then they're going to get more people
get bumped by some transfers. So I feel bad.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's not great. Hopefully the coach will, pay some mind to that. I think that they should. So then you went to UNC for law school, and then did you move to Atlanta?
No, my first job out of law school was at a plaintiff's medical malpractice shop in North Carolina.
Where?
Because in Durham, right?
Okay.
On 15501.
You just couldn't leave. You were like, fuck this. This place is God's country.
I loved it. And that's where I cut my teeth on medical malpractice cases. The lawyer that I was working for, he was the primary lawyer for Duke Hospitals before he decided to be a plaintiff's lawyer.
Oh, that's some good training ground.
By the time I got there, he was a plaintiff's lawyer completely, and so I got to see a lot of good work.
Was that, I'm trying to remember, was that right in front of the shopping center off 15501?
Yes, it was right beside Bob Evans and Outback Steakhouse, right where I-40 and 15501 meet, right in between Duke and Chapel Hill.
So I worked 54 West, out 54 West, 15501.
On 5501 and then I-40.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, there's
does
Outback
the V, yep.
and a Bob
Near the
Evans.
Chili's. I worked at the Chili's right up the street.
Yep.
I remember that.
Good time.
God, I loved it. So how long were you there?
3 years.
Okay.
And then moved back down to Atlanta in 2007. And then I joined a med mal defense shop, which is no longer in existence. Apparently, every place I go, it ends up winding down for some reason.
What'd you do, man?
I don't know. But that
Screwed up some cases.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Yeah. I mean, they all kind of went under for malpractice. Not a problem. Exactly. It's fine.
So I was there about 9 years, and then I started my shop. It feels like yesterday, but it's been 8 years this past February. So
awesome.
God, congrats, honey.
It went by
right?
in a flash.
So were you married already when you started your own shop?
Yes. We got married 15 years ago.
Jesus Christ. So how old were you when you got married? How old are you?
I was 28. I just turned 45.
You were a baby.
Oh, yeah. He's our age. Yeah. Happy 45s.
Well done. Yeah, we are 45. Is everything breaking down in your body yet? Because mine
feels
is.
like it. It creeps up on you really quick. And the funny thing is, we'll get together with lawyers and they'll start asking for advice. I'm like, wait a minute, how old are you again? And they're like, I'm 35. I'm like, what in the world
is crazy. I don't know how we got old. It happened. It came out of nowhere.
I know. Now we're mentors.
I know.
Which I still always feel like just a big kid dressing up in like a suit and like fake pearl, like my mom's pearls and high heels when I go into court. And then I'm like, why are people paying to get my advice? I don't think this is going to bode well for you. But at some point in time, you fake it till you make it, and then you make it, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm a mentor now. Who knew?
No.
Well, and I've always planned to retire at 55, but now that that's only 10 years away, I'm like,
dude, you can't leave me in 10 years. I'll kill myself.
You know, I won't really retire.
I'm not actually ever retiring, I don't think. I think I'm just going to keep on trucking.
Keep your brain sharp.
Yeah, keep my brain. Well, because everyone deteriorates so fast when you retire. I mean, like you watch people. I mean, I've got like friends' parents who. I mean, my dad is still running his big barbecue restaurant in Sarasota, Stottlemyre Smokehouse, and then a big gas station down there. So he's like constantly doing work stuff every day, right? But other friends' parents who go from like CEOs of companies, they retire at like 70, 75. And within like 5 years, they're in a fucking assisted living home. And I'm like, what had happened to you?
Oh, yeah.
And it's because they just stop. I mean, number one, they also become like kind of agoraphobic. They don't really want to be around people, which I mean, I don't fucking blame you. But to stay sharp, you got to keep going out there and interacting. You know, you just can't hide out forever. And then they're just not using their brains all the time. So it scares the shit out of me. I think I'm just going to keep working part-time.
Well, I have got a post-55 plan. So I'm going to start taking viola lessons because I want to try it for the symphony. So I feel like if I start now,
I can't.
And then I try out like early 50s, and then I'll be in the symphony and I'll mediate.
So did you play viola when you were younger? Yes.
I was first year for many years, and then I quit to chase boys. So
was that in high school?
I quit in high school.
So I quit. I played piano for 13 years. So maybe I'll take up piano lessons and become a concert pianist, and we can start our own symphony of retired
We could
lawyers.
have a dueling piano viola.
You can have a bar.
Yeah.
The piano and the viola.
I'm like, I see things going differently now. She was joining a symphony, and then I'm like, fuck it. I can play Sweet Caroline and sing with the best of them.
But it could be like a piano bar, but you're on a piano, I'm on a viola, and you tell funny stories, and I make like the viola noises in the background.
What are you going to do, Moses?
Yeah.
We do like to drink. You're
I
not
don't know.
wrong.
This might be a terrible
It's
business.
going to be hard to play the piano and play the viola when you're really smashed.
Shit
Yeah,
face.
exactly.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Not wrong.
Back to you, Moses.
Okay.
We have a
really
tendency.
digress.
So
Yeah, we have a tendency to go off on tangents at some
No, it's
point in
great.
time. Please forgive us. Tell us a little bit about some of your most complex cases that you've had recently.
Oh, yeah. So there's three that come to mind, three different types. A very sad but common type of medical malpractice case is a birth injury case. A mom's pregnant. They're almost ready to have the baby. They go in and get induced. This is a common fact pattern. The names and the hospital changes, but the fact pattern stays the same, which is very odd.
Concerning for all soon-to-be new mothers.
There's a medication called Pitocin, which helps the mom have contractions.
I had that.
It's considered a high alert medication because even though it's used commonly, it can be very dangerous. It's a lot like a car. We use it commonly, but a car can be extremely dangerous if used improperly. And so you've got to watch this medication and the impact on the baby because every time the mom has contractions, it's cutting off the blood flow to the baby.
Oh, yeah.
And then if the baby doesn't have enough blood flow, the baby doesn't get enough oxygen. And guess what happens when someone doesn't get enough oxygen?
Brain injury.
They suffocate and they get a brain injury. And so we have the pleasure of representing a little girl who unfortunately that happened to, and she has a lot of developmental disabilities. She's 7 and doesn't talk. Doesn't walk normally. She still wears a diaper.
Oh, no.
She can't. So she's got a lot of challenges.
And it's from Pitocin.
It's from not
like
getting the Pitocin, but not managing the Pitocin.
Right. I was going to say the levels.
And they didn't. So the standard, what we call the standard of care, what you're supposed to do is when it's causing too many contractions, you're supposed to turn it down and turn it off. And when people ignore it and don't watch the little squiggly lines on the fetal monitoring strip to make sure that the baby's heart rate is going well, this is what happens. And it's a very, very complex type of medical malpractice case. The reason why it's so difficult is the medicine's pretty challenging, but there's a bunch of ridiculous doctors who are practicing physicians who will come up with these baseless, unsupported theories in science or medicine, and they run this circuit as an expert witness, make tons of money, and they defend these cases when it's medically indefensible. And so what the defense is just trying to do is to put up their expert and hope that an ignorant jury will believe something that the doctor in a white coat from whatever famous hospital says and win the case.
They're just muddying the waters.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so difficult.
Two kind of questions come to mind. One, are these expert doctors, do they actually practice medicine, or are they are they just
paid experts?
They are paid experts, and they are practicing medicine, and that's part of the problem, because you have someone from a great institution, let's say they're from Harvard or Stanford or University of Chicago. They'll come in with all their credentials, and they say something that's completely unsupported. It is factually false.
Just outlandish.
False.
Well, and if you're on a jury, I mean, I think that's the toughest thing is you've got 12 people with no background probably in the subject matter, and they're going to believe whoever they think is telling them, like whoever seems the most credible, right? So whoever has the best university.
So to combat that, do you end up bringing in like 2 or 3 experts of your own? So say they just come with one, and like the position that they're taking is just so unreasonable, and you're like, are you fucking kidding me, man? But the jurors are like, oh, I could see how that could be a possibility. Do you then come with like, do you say the more experts on our side, the better? Is that what helps your case? That you would have like, okay, fine, you brought one from Harvard. I'm going to bring one from Johns Hopkins. I'm bringing one from Emory. I'm going to bring one from here, and then we're going to combat you.
So my philosophy is, and my belief is, it's not about a numbers game of who has the most experts. I believe the fight is really within the logic of the case, and you as a trial lawyer, presentation to the jury to be able to highlight how ridiculous their position is. So you've got to be able to translate all this medical gobbledygook into something people understand. Mm-hmm. Like kind of a well-known example amongst the trial lawyer community is you've got one expert who is saying something that they're all by themselves on an island, and they are saying something that nobody else agrees with.
The medical evidence that's widely accepted says the exact fucking opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so the message to the jury isn't about, oh, you've got this opinion that no one else agrees with. You've got to put it in the language of lay people to say, doctor, you're on here on an island by yourself. So-and-so, Dr. Smith disagrees with you, Dr. Jones disagrees with you, Dr. Bradley disagrees with you. You're all here on the island.
Multiple published articles are saying you're a fucking idiot.
You're out here by yourself with some random opinion that nobody believes, trying to convince a jury that you're right. And so I think that's really the art of what we try to do, try to simplify the language and the medicine into a language that lay people can understand. And that's the magic, I think, of defeating these crazy arguments that we come up with on the other side.
So the birth injuries case, you've obviously heard there's been a lot in the news, especially in our local area, about the decapitation of the baby during delivery with the forceps. Do you think there's a defense to that? What is your opinion on that case? You know,
yes, I'm familiar with the situation.
It's the most absurd thing I've ever heard, because not only did that happen, which sounds horrendous in itself, but then they pretended that the child was not actually decapitated and deceased during the delivery process, and they kind of wrapped the baby in a blanket and put the head back where it should be, and they were like, here, now you can say goodbye to your baby, and the baby was killed from being decapitated with forceps during the delivery. So how do you think that's going to shake down?
You know, it's hard to tell, because honestly, I don't know all the facts of that case, but, you know, I would say if that's what happened. And
that was a very lawyerly response. I appreciate that. Well, allegedly, based on those facts.
You know, I know what the defense argument is going to be. The defense argument is going to be is that the baby was already dead. That's why there was all that, you know, dead tissue that allowed the head to fall off. But that's no excuse for what happened. That's no excuse about any sort of cover-up. There's no excuse for not dealing with that differently. And I don't even know if that's the case. But if that happened to a live baby,
it was some of the most fucked up things I've ever
outrageous.
heard in my life. It was absolutely outrageous. I do think that some of these, and you have to deal with this a lot of, I would assume, in dealing with medical malpractice cases, is a lot of the hospitals that serve lower income families or maybe families of minorities, there just appears to be a little bit of a different treatment level that goes on at some of these hospitals.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so I think the point that you're pointing out is, you know, where in poor communities, less educated communities, there's worse care. And that's true. Medical malpractice happens everywhere, but there's a higher incidence in underserved communities. And I think that's a combination of resources. There's so many factors that go into it. Race can be a factor, and I'll give you an example of that, not to play the race card. And I'll talk about that momentarily.
But they've actually, I mean, there have been huge amounts of studies showing that African-American women die at a much higher rate during childbirth and post-childbirth than white women.
And there's a higher rate of survival amongst white African-American babies, black babies, and black moms when they have a black doctor.
Oh, wow.
Why is that the case?
Right.
It's because people are not listening and understanding what's going on. And you know, I think another factor is there's the doctors that may go to a more difficult area may not be as adequately trained or trained differently.
And they're probably not getting paid as much to be in wealthy areas, right?
There's a lot of factors that go in. So if you have a family where everyone's got a master's degree or some accounting degree, or they know they're going to be sophisticated enough to at least ask the question, why is this happening? Why are you doing this? What's the best decision? What would you do? And so in less underserved communities, those questions might not be asked.
I feel like there's a much more of a tendency to trust your doctors and less Google research. You know, anytime when I was pregnant with the twins, they thought Hayden had Down syndrome. And they said, don't research it, but we're going to send you to a specialist. Well,
don't get online. You go, okay.
Of course I researched it. So by the time I saw the specialist, I had, 200 questions.
Of course.
And I was geared up and ready to go. And she ended up being fine, but I had the ability to research it, and I knew what I needed to ask when I went in.
Well, and there's and I do think that you have to be your best advocate, and I think most people try to. The issue with the African American women dying at a much higher rate is because even when they're advocating for themselves, their doctors are simply not fucking listening to them. It's absurd. They're like, I don't feel well, and they're like, you're fine. You're probably being dramatic. I mean, some fucked up shit, the way they've done those studies. I mean, it's outrageous.
Well, and we even see it with our workers' comp clients. Like I have with my black female clients, I'm very selective about who I will let them treat
with.
There's certain doctors that I won't even let, like because we have to choose from a panel of doctors for workers' comp. There are certain doctors that I've blacklisted. I'm like, absolutely not. And so I have an ankle specialist, a shoulder specialist, and a back doctor that are the only doctors that I will let them go to, because they're the only doctors that will listen to them and give them a chance. Whereas some of these other doctors are like, I mean, it is so frustrating.
No,
and I tell them that at intake. I'm like, let's go through this list and let's pick out who I know is going to listen.
Right, and that's smart lawyering, because you know just the preconceived notions that go into it, and then different treatment. It's absolutely bizarre. So you've done. So we've got the birth injuries.
So actually, I have one question before we go away from that.
Sorry.
So with the birth injuries, like particularly if the child survives, how does the statute of limitations run on that? Because I would imagine sometimes you don't know that something's wrong with your baby for a little bit because they're babies.
Yeah, I mean you've got to hit certain developmental milestones.
Right.
So how does that work?
So there's so the parents, of course, have the claim for all the medical bills up until the child's 18. And so because the parent's a competent adult, they have 2 years from the date of the alleged injury to bring suit. And so oftentimes we unfortunately get cases where the parent's claim has expired, but the child's claim is still alive. And so the child essentially has until 7 years to bring their own lawsuit for their personal injury, their pain and suffering, their all the non-economic damages, plus the economic damages after they're 18.
So 7 years from 18 or 7 years from date of diagnosis?
7 years from the date of the birth.
The date of
got it.
So
Okay.
More technically, for all the lawyers out there, the law says 2 years after they turn 5, which is essentially 7.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's 7 for the kid.
Parents have
2 for the parent.
From date of birth.
From date of birth, which is the date of the injury. But optimally, if the parents are concerned, we want to hear from them within the 2-year mark so we can bring all the claims together.
Of course,
to maximize.
You definitely don't want a statute of limitations running on that issue. So as far as, say your child's 3 and you start to realize that things are not developing the way that they should, all of those medical bills between there and the date of 18 are not going to be covered.
Correct.
It's going to be 18 and over.
Correct.
God,
So
that's a load
lost.
of shit. Is that state different in each state?
Yes, the statute of limitation will be different in each state. Okay. But, it's so important for the parents to, try to look into this as quickly as possible. A lot of times parents have a lot of clues. They may not understand the legal concepts, but they know that there was a delay in getting the baby delivered, and now the baby's on a vent in the NICU and there for like 3 months. That's not normal.
Right, no.
And they may understand that there was a lot of urgency in getting the baby delivered with a rapid C-section, or a long time before the baby came out, or the baby came out blue and not breathing.
Right.
Those sorts of facts
Good
are
things to look for.
Things that you see, important things for the parents
Yeah.
to look for.
Okay.
So what are the other two kind of fact patterns we should look for, bed mal-wise?
Yeah, a common one is a medication error. So in the medical malpractice world, it's like any other personal injury case. You got to prove duty, breach, causation, and damage. Those four things. And when we talk about the language of a medical malpractice case, it's what was the standard of care, what was the duty, what duty did they breach, what was the standard of care that they violated. And so a common medical malpractice scenario is a medication administration problem. And so the standard of care for nurses and doctors is to give the right medication to the right patient and the right dose via the right route at the right time. And that's unfortunately a very common but catastrophic scenario.
I would assume that would be probably easy to fuck up with as much medication as hospitals are giving all the
and
time.
Sometimes you'll have one patient named Walker and the other patient named Baker, and things get messed up.
It's not as bad as somebody who goes in to get, like, I don't know, their right leg amputated and they get their left leg amputated. That is, now you have no legs.
Right.
We've all heard of those stories, and they're absolutely horrendous. So yeah, I would think that would be much more common.
Yeah, there's a lot of controls that prevent that too. Everyone gets a wristband, and so you have to scan the medication.
So every time I've been at the hospital, same thing. Little scan.
Tell me your name. Tell me your date of birth.
Exactly.
But I wonder, to your point earlier about like different areas of like economics. In Atlanta, clearly, if you're in any of the major hospitals, they've got the little scanner. But I would imagine if you're out at some podunk country hospital, then you might not have that.
Yeah. Well, usually nowadays everyone has some sort of electronic system. That's pretty.
That's gotten better.
Even in smaller hospitals. But an example of this is we're representing a 30-year-old woman. She was a nurse at a major Atlanta hospital. This hospital system has multiple hospitals throughout town. She ended up as a patient at another hospital. They thought she was drunk with a DUI, but she was actually having too low of a sodium. And she got picked up on a DUI. The people at the jail realized the following morning she was not drunk. She was having a medical issue, so they sent her to the sister hospital. And the medicine is that if someone's sodium is low, you're supposed to slowly reverse it by no more than like 6 to 8 units.
I've heard this, yes.
They reversed it by 25.
Oh, God.
Scrambled her brain. She became a vegetable over the course of the next 3 to 4 months. And she was on the unit where she would have worked if she had worked at that hospital, in the sister hospital, but she became a vegetable, and she tragically died.
Oh, God.
In the same room that her mom died in from breast cancer, in the hospice room. It is the most tragic situation.
That is terrible.
And the reason why we're still fighting this case is people don't want to take responsibility for this clear error. And everyone's blaming each other, but that's a type of
that's heartbreaking
administration problem.
And she was 30?
Sodium to someone, yes.
Good grief. She's like a child.
Yeah,
that's heartbreaking.
Started with her
That's terrible.
life. But the one of the things about these medical malpractice cases is when there's a mistake, no one's scrambling to the family or to the patient to let them know, this is exactly what happened. We're sorry, it should not have happened.
I have heard this. I have some other friends who do med mal, and some of the stories that I've heard, I've been like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they just cover it up as fast as possible. And I mean, people have even gone in, so you can go in and they've got like the logs of whenever things are changed, then go back in and try and backdate things and put things in. It's
and you got to think that it makes it worse, right? Like,
it's the metadata. They're like going in and changing metadata. I'm like, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
Stop doing that shit.
Yes. But, it's altering the medical record, changing the facts, not putting in important information about what happened. Nowadays, the new technology is this messaging system. There's different brands of it, but it basically works like Facebook Messenger. You can call and text anyone who works at the hospital without having their cell number. And so in this particular sodium case, there's all this conversation about what to do with this girl's sodium. None of that is in the medical record for the family to know about. The only reason the family knows about it is because they hired a law firm who knew about that, who dug it up, and now the discussion about how to manage the sodium negligently is all in there with not even a trace of that in the normal medical record.
Of course not.
Well, and that's the type of thing that I would imagine.
Why would they put it in the medical records?
Yeah,
That's shit you get caught over.
But that's what matters, I think. I mean, not only when you're presenting to a jury, like the horrible things that have happened, but then when you see the cover up, like I would imagine if I'm a juror, that's what makes me like, how can you do that? How do you cover it up and then pretend like something didn't happen?
Yeah, I know it's not easy. I mean, it's like anything else with ourselves or our family. We make a mistake.
It sucks when we screw up, but you have to call and admit it.
Oh my God, I hate that.
It's terrible.
Talk about it and tell about it, but when you're dealing with lives and deaths of people, and there's also hospital policies that require full disclosure. No one's doing that.
Nobody's doing it.
A 30-year-old girl who was otherwise healthy and normal is now a vegetable. Like, that demands an explanation.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very unfortunate that doesn't happen more frequently. I mean, that would be better than a lawyer uncovering up the truth of what happened.
Right.
And so it's the sad, stark reality of the world that we live in. And I think, the way that I rationalize it is it's human nature. No one wants to admit that they screwed up or that they...
Well, of course, it sucks. I hate that. I hate it whenever I'm like, ugh, this is going to be uncomfortable. But at some point in time, you got to fucking admit it.
Right.
And, I mean, pay your dues.
And tell the family what happened.
Yeah, that's what you do. So that's two kinds. What's the third most frequently run into type?
Common situation is an anesthesia error.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically someone goes in for anesthesia. 99.9% of the time, it should go completely fine without any abnormalities. But what happens is the anesthesia team gets complacent, and it's just like just a mill. Get the next patient in, next patient in. You're doing volume.
Well, and they're also they don't take insurance, right? So most of the time your anesthesia bill is separate than your surgery bill. I know that because I have had numerous surgeries.
Exactly.
Propofol is my best friend. I actually, I'm just saying, I don't generally like drugs that much, but when it comes to propofol, because it just knocks you out, like it takes me a good 45 minutes to an hour every night to fall asleep. I'm a psychopath. And so something that they just put it right into your little thing and out you go within they'll be like, count to 5. I'm like, do, 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 do. Oh, it's the best drug ever created.
Yeah, be careful with that.
Yeah, I know. Forever. Well, this is the whole thing. Fortunately, they haven't made it in pill form yet, at least that I know of, or else I probably would have got my hands on it somewhere, but I don't think so. I think you got to go in for the surgery, but I can see that happening 100%.
Yeah, I mean, people get complacent. I mean, these anesthesia providers, I mean, it's really, the whole case is on autopilot from an anesthesia perspective, and so they're like texting and stuff like that, not paying attention. Next thing you know, something happens during the surgery, or the surgery's done completely successfully, and now it's time for the anesthesia team to wake the patient up, and then something goes sideways. Next thing you know, the patient's dead.
Ugh. So when I had my anterior lumbar fusion in 2017, my body did not. I mean, because it was like a 7-hour surgery, right? It was like no fuck around, opened me up from move all my organs out from my abdomen, out of the way, fuse the vertebrae, and then put everything, move it all back in. And I was hospitalized for 2 nights. I continued to stop breathing. My mom would, and I was so mad because I was really excited about going towards the light. I'm not going to lie. My body was so damn tired. I was like, I'm fine. Just leave me be. And she would continue. My mom slept by my bed. Or she didn't sleep at all. She just basically stood there watching me. And the thing would start going off, and all of the bells and things would start going off because I wasn't breathing enough. And she'd start shaking. She'd be like, breathe. I'm like, fuck, I'm so tired. Just let me go to sleep right now. So, I mean, I now, because I've had a knee surgery since then, and, so I tell them, I'm like, I don't really have any problems with anesthesia as long as I'm not under for 7 hours. If it's going to be an hour, fine. My body's not going to have a problem. But I mean, your body does not like being under for that long. It's some serious shit when you go in for a surgery like that.
And, the beautiful thing is that in your situation, you had an advocate, your own
mom. Oh, yeah, my mom.
Even people don't.
Yeah. My mom was not fucking around. She
never does.
She Grandma Jules, bitch is scary. No. Anyway, she would literally shake me. I mean, constantly. I couldn't sleep at all for 2 days because every time my O2 levels would fucking drop, and I'd be
Grandma Jules would be like,
I'd be like, this is so nice. She'd be like, breathe. I'm like, fuck, stop yelling at me. I'm so tired.
Thank you, Grandma Jules, for saving Sarah.
Yes. Yeah. And here I am for your enjoyment.
Hallelujah.
But no, I can see that being a major problem for sure.
We're working on one case down in South Georgia where the patient was another hospital employee She was a CNA.
Why do all these hospital employees keep dying?
You'd think they'd get the best
Stop
care.
doing
Jesus.
this.
I mean, it happens to anybody. And she had a neck surgery. Everything was successful. The surgeon went out to tell the family everything was fine, everything's normal. She should be waking up and in her room in about an hour or so. He walks back in the room and all hell had broken loose, and they're trying to
resuscitate
her.
Jesus!
And she suffocated and died.
She did not.
She left behind 2 beautiful young kids.
No.
Oh, that's awful.
How did she suffocate? What happened?
They did not give her the reversal medication that was the medication that was paralyzing her. They did not give the reversal agent for that. And so when she tried to breathe, she did not have enough.
Because the other one wore off. So she was waking up and couldn't.
So part of the general anesthesia sometimes is to give you medication to put you to sleep.
Yeah.
And then a medication to paralyze you so you don't move during the surgery.
Right.
They're supposed to give you a medication to reverse the paralytic so you can move and breathe on your own.
Right.
And so
they took out the breathing tube, and then they're like, I don't know, she's not breathing.
Exactly.
Without giving her the medicine.
An emergency situation, and they can't get the tube in.
To do the trach and all that. Oh, God.
And then they waited a long time to put an emergency trach in. And by the time they do that, it's been 50 minutes and her brain's all scrambled.
Good Christ. So were you good at math and science in school or no?
I wasn't bad.
Because I'm semi-handicapped at it, or else I would have been a doctor in a heartbeat. Like I would have, I was really disabled at math, or else I would have gone to med school because I love that stuff.
That was my life calling.
And then they were like, here's organic chemistry, and I was like, oh, you're so cute.
Mine wasn't the content that was the problem, is that it was at 8 a.m. on Tuesday, Thursdays.
Same girl, that's
messed
not
up
happening.
with my Monday, Wednesday party schedule at Chapel Hill. So then I was like, fine, I'll be a journalist.
You were like, I don't have time to go to Players and go to this 8 a.m. class. This is bullshit.
Yeah, I'm going to ruin the rest of my life and become a lawyer now.
Yeah. Oh, God,
Players.
Terrible. Had I been able to, if I was smart enough, I would have absolutely, because I don't get grossed out by blood or anything, but anything dealing with math, it's all over for me.
Well, chemistry and biology in college, that was difficult. And then I had a similar story to you. I was doing the little chemical unknown in the lab to figure out what's in the chemical by process of elimination, by adding the stuff. And it was Saturday morning. It was like 9 o'clock.
You're still drunk.
The birds are chirping outside. The light is hitting my face. And I'm like, what in the world am I doing in this chemistry
Why am I not
and it was a
waking
challenge.
up from a night at Players?
Exactly.
Well, and those chemistry labs were like 6 hours. It's not like it was like a short 1 hour experiment. Like the chem labs at UNC, they just went on. I was like, I can't. This is ruining my life.
I couldn't do any of it. It was terrible. I finally took Intro to Statistics my second semester of senior year.
For your
finally,
math?
to just fucking get me out of there. I was like, please, God, don't let me fail.
Well, thank God none of us were doctors, so now that we can all be friends.
Yes, now we can all help people that need it in our own special way.
And let me put out a disclaimer there. There's a lot of great doctors in hospitals.
Oh, there are. No, 100%.
We love doctors, particularly the good ones.
But I will say, we look at, a couple thousand cases a year, and we take like 5 cases. So it's a very small percentage.
Right.
Less than 1% of cases.
You've never taken anyone that I've sent you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. They just weren't good enough. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, then they have to be serious. It's not.
And I mean, like, some of our very best friends are doctors. They're phenomenal in the medical profession. So I know they're also very difficult to prove, very difficult to recover for. And then you've got, I guess doctors are no longer, like, the hospitals are treating them like independent contractors and not providing insurance. There's all kinds of fuckery afoot when it comes to med mal cases. I'm glad I'm not in your shoes.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
But it's really rewarding to be able to help folks and to get people that denied it for so long and covered it up to actually admit that they should have done better.
So what is your advice you have for anybody who would be thinking there's a possible claim out there or something that's gone wrong? I mean, we get calls constantly for med mal stuff where people have said certain things, and I'm like, I don't really think that arises. But would you say to reach out to an attorney as quickly as possible?
Absolutely. Ask an experienced medical malpractice lawyer whether you have a case. If you're so motivated, go get your medical records. You can request that online very easily now. Everything's electronic. You don't have to mail anything.
That's super helpful, because if not, it takes us forever.
Yes, you can submit your own material or your own information to request the medical records, and then also ask the doctors that are involved in your care or the healthcare providers who are involved in your care what happened and why did it happen. And if they've lost a family member, try to get an autopsy done.
Maybe also hit record on your thing when you're asking them that. If you're
not
listening.
in every state, you can't do that in South Carolina.
No, but in Georgia it's a one-way state.
Right.
So
I don't think we can advise people to do that, but if they happen to do that, that could be
speak for yourself.
helpful.
I'm just saying. I mean,
and so Moses, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
They can call our office. We have a website called www.themosesfirm.
The Moses Firm.
The Moses Firm.
Love it.
Don't be confused. It's my first name.
Love it.
And you can call our office at 404-721-1050.
Your Yeti is my favorite one that I travel with. And so Ryan makes fun of me all the time.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
Ryan's like, "Why you always have Moses's Yeti? Where's yours?" I'm like, "I don't know. I like the navy blue color."
Where it is. The navy blue is fantastic.
So I try to send you pictures anytime I'm somewhere fun. I'm like, using your Yeti.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's like traveling around like one of those little like animals that go with like your kids on trips. We're like the Moses Yeti landed here again. Here we are.
Well, whoever needs one, let us know. We're happy to share it, and we'll have to get some for your firm.
Yes.
So.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. I thought that was super helpful information for our clients.
It was fascinating information. Thank you for coming and sharing it with us. We appreciate it greatly. We will be seeing you at all of the Braves games, all of the law firm happy hours, all the things that are coming up in the spring. We've got GTLA coming up soon on 2 weeks or so. Yeah. We've got the one of the spring annual CLE things, so we'll be seeing you there too. But we're so thankful you joined us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
We love you as a fellow Tar Heel.
I'm glad to be able to participate in this LNL podcast.
Thank you.
Love.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers. I drank all mine, so I'm going to need to drink somebody else's. I know. Anyway, lovely. Thank you.
Oh, sharing is caring.
Thanks,
Moses.
honey. But we thank you all for joining us today. We will be seeing you soon for episode 25. We'll have made it a full quarter. Very proud of ourselves for that and very diligent. But we hope that you all have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming.
Cheers.
Cheers.